Happy New Day, CSA. How feels each and every one of you this wonderful, lovely new day? How feels wonderful, beautiful, handsome, enlightened, and fantastically prosperous and healthy you this wonderful, lovely new day? I welcome all of you with so much love to today's program. Last Friday, I was driving to work very early in the morning with my brother and another person, and as we descended the hill, we saw a truck which had turned over. And I said, oh, most people don't know why they are in this world. And because we lack the culture of maintenance, people don't maintain their cars, and even they maintain their cars more than their bodies. And so we have people throwing their vehicles about all the time. And my brother said, do you know some discovery I made? I asked him what. He said, do you know that I heard on the news, on radio, that now one of the things which is driving our cost of living is the cost of funerals in the country. That funerals have become so expensive that people are pushing the funeral dates of their loved ones, sometimes a year and more. And I said, there are some funerals which even last for 2 years. People decide to go and build a place where their loved ones will be buried. And I said, well, you know, in the Upanishads, in the Chandogya Upanishad, it is said that once God manifested as a guru called Prajapati, and he started saying that there is a self which is free from sorrow, which is free from poverty, which, when you realize, is the funeral of all your sorrows. And this self, when anyone who knows it, if he is blind, he will see. If he is deaf, he will hear. And he went on to talk about the things which, when you know the self, will inure to your benefit. And the gods and the demons both heard of this teaching, and they all decided that, if there is a self which can know which will be the funeral of all our sorrows, then we must go and learn about this self. So they both set off together without talking to each other. They arrived in the house of the guru, goddess guru, known as Prajapati. Indra from the gods, and Virochana from the demons assembled, and they assembled with fuel in hand. You know, in the olden days, you cannot go to the guru without fuel in hand, because that is what will warm both you and the guru up. And they stayed there and they worked for 32 years. And at the end of the 32 years, Prajapati asked them, for what reason have you been here all these 32 years. And they said, we have heard of this teaching of yours, and that is what we have come to learn. You know, in our lives, most people, it is when you get to 32 that sometimes people begin to realize, hey Charlie, there is something in this world, let me find out. And the party told them, the self that is seen in the eye, he is the true, and that is the one to know. But because they did not understand what the party was talking about, they thought that it is the self which is seen in the reflection of the eye. But they did not look at the seer of the scene, the real self who sees everything. And the party told them, they said, the self that is seen in mirrors and in water, he said, well, go and look at yourselves in the water, and what you do not understand, come and ask me. See, he gave them the opportunity, but because of what had gone into their minds, because of their misunderstanding, they went and they went and looked at the self in the water, came and told the party, oh, we've seen the self. And he said, go and adorn your bodies with ornaments and go and look at yourself, examine yourself in the water, your images in the water, and what you do not understand, come and ask me. They went again, they were happy, they saw the self all dressed up, the body all dressed up. And they came, they said, we've seen the body all dressed up, self all dressed up. And the party told them, well, that is the self. And so they set off, satisfied. But Indra, before he reached the gods, said, this self that is all, geared up and everything, if poverty sets in or whatever, it will not have a good standing. This one is inadequate. I'm going back to ask the party for more knowledge. Virochana left, and he went and propounded this theory that the body is the self, and that is what must be looked after and adorned and praised and all that. And to this day, most people, even if you don't have money, when you die, your relatives will find you and give you the most fitting burial as if you own the world. People adorn dead bodies and give it presents and other things, saying to cross a river to the afterlife. And they say that such a teaching is the teaching of demons. They said anyone who does not give sacrifice and make offerings to the gods, he is a demon. And when Indra went back to Prajapati, Prajapati asked him, why have you returned? I thought you were satisfied. He said, Charlie, the self that you told us, I examined, I don't understand that self. That self is inadequate. Then he said, well, you have to stay for another 32 years. So 32 plus 32 is 64. Yes. So he stayed for another 32 years. And then he told him that the dream, the self that you see in dreams is the self. And he, Indra took it. He was going and then it struck him that, this self in the dream that you see happy, they chase it in dreams, they beat him in dreams, he cries in dreams. It is not adequate. He came back and Prajapati told him, well, you have to stay for another 32 years. So 32 plus 64, 96. Then he stayed, when he became 96 years old, he was told that the self that is seen, when you deeply sleep without observing anything, that is the self. Then Indra took it. When he was going, he found out that one was also inadequate. So he came back and Prajapati said, okay, stay 5 more years. So in all, it is said that Indra stayed with Prajapati for 101 years, learning about God. You see, there is something that I want to share with you. Yoga, we call union with God. When God created the world, he gave us the instructions on how to connect, because we have come through different projections. He gave us yoga, the map, or how to reconnect with him, and also gave us Ayurveda, how to live. And so we have to live in such a way that we will be able to reconnect with God before leaving the scene. And then finally he told him that the self is not the body. The self is not is bodiless and unseen, but can be experienced. Is the witness, the silent witness of everything. And Indra was able to awaken to the self. He went to the gods and showed them what he has been taught. You see, when you look at your life, or when you look at life, you see that you stay and then you begin to search. And then at 62, when you want to retire, you go and stay in your village, or you retire and you still are not satisfied. If you have not found God, you still are not satisfied with life. And if a chance you get to 90 there, your whole body is weak. Meanwhile, you have not found the purpose for your life. Now, instead, you see, because it is when you desire to know God that you are led to the spiritual path. But when you follow what everyone is doing, follow the crowd, you'll be led in this merry-go-round. You do not seek for a teacher who knows what the secret is and for him or her to share it with you. Worship of God becomes worship of man and objects. And we see it playing in our lives today. You go to churches, it's either rituals or they will tell you, this man, some even say the minister is God, and they, some people, it's been found out that some people don't respect their husbands, they respect their pastors more than their husbands. And now some of the pastors, after many years of enjoying money from these women, are now telling them that don't respect me more than your husband. But very few look for God from their formative years. It has been shared that we don't learn about hatred maybe the first 10 years of our lives. But if we are taught, or if our thoughts are directed towards God in the beginning, we'll make it. When I was young, when I was in the formative years, I sometimes had an uncle of Akwesi Nkrumah. Whenever he comes, one day, I tell him myself, Akwesi, do you know God? Can you show me God? He said, hey, shut up, or these things you don't ask. And I found out that he was, making me to shy away from me because he didn't know. I knew that he didn't know God. That was why he was trying to shut me up. And I had this thought always going in my mind that my parents were not my real parents. I don't know where that came, and sometimes my elder sister would say, Agbabu etomi, bu Agbabu etomi, Nuba. And, like you were hewn from wood. And sometimes when I'm beaten, I'll sit down and be calling on some people to come and take me away. I did that in school. I was very, very interested in religion. Look, from the time I started taking religious tests, I've never had even 90 before, always 100%. And yet, in my outward life, I never showed any signs of like going to church every Sunday and no. But my dad, we were a house of Presbyterians. My dad led some accounts to leave the Presbyterian Church, the Resurrection Church, where Ghana House, opposite where Ghana House was. Now they have built a car park there to the government school at Adabraka, opposite Fire School. And the church was started in our house and moved there. And he found a place at Official Town and led with the building and everything. And I remember, just before we moved from Central to that place, I went to church. It was when Jimi Hendrix died. I think it was in 1969 or so, thereabout. I went to church with my elder brother. And, when Jimi Hendrix died, most of the youth, we had psychedelic trousers, trousers with some designs in them. And when we went to church, the pastor was only interested in condemning the youth. And I said, if I will come to church and the pastor will condemn me to the devil and this thing, then I will not come again, because I came as I am to be accepted. And if as I am, you cannot accept me, and if you can tell me to something that can enhance my life, I won't come to listen to this nonsense again. And I left. I didn't go to church anymore. But the official town minister used to come to our house almost every day. And you see, in our house, my dad had a bar filled with all kinds of drinks. There were miniature drinks and big drinks. And whenever the Presby minister comes, I will see him, eyeing drinks, and his eyes will settle on a particular drink. And so when my dad asked me to, bring glasses to serve, I'll just go and pick that drink and come and put it down. And my dad will say, but the pastor has not told you what he wants. The pastor will say, oh, you let him open this one, not for me. Then I'll serve him. And when he's going, he will eye me and say, we are quite a bunny. It was a game I played with him. And when I went to America, my first salary, I bought, because when I was going, the pastor told me that he didn't have a clerical collar, and the church didn't have this thing, the communion set. So I bought a communion set and the collar and a shirt for him, and I sent it. And they said the church started praying for me. So my mom said, you caused people to pray for you. That is why you have become a minister. But I don't think that is what led. Because even though I did not show any outward sign of, searching for God, my entire life in my infancy has been to find the truth about life. And that is what the inner desire is what led to me looking for how to reconnect with God. And when I read Roy's books and everything, they say when you have a desire, God wants to do something. He brings the people and the circumstances to get it done. So whatever circumstance you find yourself in, you just know that it is good. If it is bad, if you think it is bad, it is taking you out rather. Because when I decided to look for God, my whole world, my former world, came crashing down. And I said, oh, now that I said I want to know God, why is my whole world crashing down? But that crashing down was the Shiva effect. It was destroying my old life to give me a new beginning. And in that new beginning, I found the funeral of my sorrows. You see, I'm sharing this with you to let you know that if you think you are the body and later on you think you are the dream self, and even later on, you see that sometimes when you sit to meditate, by the time you realize your body is asleep. All are stages in your unfoldment. Don't give up. Look, the Shiva Puri Baba, he went into retreat for over 25 years before he had a sign of God. Brahman Suganandaji, he said that, look, you think that I just became a master, they just threw it at me. No. I've been like you before, but it is my utmost desire to know God which led me. So your desire must be for God. No matter what God gives you, say, Lord, thank you, but I want you. It's not your gift. I have not been interested in having supernatural powers, but I've seen them unfold, and I still don't crave for it. Even to the extent of having someone die in my presence and me, saying, God, how can you let this man come and die here for us to be blamed? And eventually the guy woke up. He came to testify and also told another pastor about it. But still, I've seen seeming miracles unfold. One time, a boy who was born, crippled, and the grandmother brought him to us. We worked on him. That was when the World Cup was being played in South Africa. And this boy, when you look at him, he was very handsome, but inside him, he has some, like hatred for people who could walk. And they brought him, we worked on him. And then one day, General Danjuma from Nigeria was brought to the clinic by General Joshua Hamidu. And when they came, they were in my office, and suddenly there was Mama Rose and my son Roy. And Mama Rose, she does not frequent health works. And so when they came, I told them, I have a meeting with this big man, you just go and wait. And then when she went towards the kitchen, all I heard was people shouting, hey, and clapping. I said, hey, what is this? Then I went out to shout them down, and he said, you know what has happened? Mama Rose came and saw PK. They call Paco, but I changed this to PK. She saw PK and asked, oh, whose son is this handsome boy? Oh, come to me. And the boy started walking to him. And unknown to Mama Rose, the rest of the people knew PK couldn't walk. But when Mama Rose said, come, he walked towards her. And that was why they were clapping. And I went in and I told the generals that, well, this is what has happened. And we used to, I made a song for him. I said, oh, the PK, oh, the PK, oh, Mr. PK is a handsome man. We sang for him and things. And the grandmother, the first time she contacted me about him, she asked me, doctor, do I look like a witch? And I said, I don't know a witch from a non-witch. But tell me what is wrong. He said, my grandson, he was born, and my daughter, when they brought him, after some time, he couldn't walk. And when you see my grandson, he's handsome. But when he crossed, and he crossed like a crocodile, his feet are like the tail. It just goes back and forth, side by side. And there is the mother works at a nursery school, and since they went to Kolebu, and Kolebu said they should go and teach the child how to walk. I said, but the child can't even stand. How can we teach him how to walk? He said, it's not their concern. I said, you bring him and let me examine him. So when he brought the child, I laid the child down and did some adjustment. When I got to the table, I did, and then the thing went crap, and then the feet started shaking. And I said, well, there is hope for this boy. So we worked on him till he started sitting, and then we did cross-crawling for him, and he was able to stand. And I knew the boy could walk, but he lacked the confidence. And when he was in the nursery, he saw that children will come not walking and they will start walking, but he was still the same. So he was always angry. And if you were a little kid, you come, when he grabs you, he will beat you, but he still couldn't stand. And so the people who came there and relatives and friends thought that it was the woman who had bewitched the grandson to become a cripple. And that thing worried the woman. He started crying. I said, don't cry. And the day that he brought the mother and the father, that was the father came just one day to bring the child. It was the mother and the grandmother who always brought him. And when the child started walking, the woman said, oh, I want to go on TV and tell them. I said, look, me, I did my job. By the grace of God, he is well. Leave me out of this. Because me too, I don't know how God did it. God has done it. Let that be sufficient. And the woman had a chance. She was going to America. She said, I'm going to America now. When I go to America, I'll be able to sleep. Because every time, I see this boy, I say, how can my own grandson, I bewitch my own grandson? But people, look, some churches, they can catch this woman and beat her, saying that she is a witch. And they'll beat you to a point where you will accept that you are a witch. And it has happened in so many homes. People blaming others for their challenges. I've literally seen, people, they said, so this one is, and they get well. And I don't say that I have some powers. No, I don't have any powers. I'm just someone who loves God deeply, and sometimes I see some so-called miracles happening here and there around me. Look, some people, when I go to Agbogbloshie market and I buy from this woman, she always holds me as the property. If they see me buying from another person, there is a lady who sells this cauliflower. Now they don't sell the cauliflower to me. When I get there, unless they don't have cauliflower, before I can buy cauliflower elsewhere. When I get there, they just do the cauliflower, take it away. I used to go there with Isaac. They don't take money from me anymore. You see. And so, in life, find out what you should find out first, the instructions to know God, and then instructions on how to live. It's very, very, very important. You see, after we shared with you the yamas and the niyamas, you know that if you do this, this is what will happen. If you do that, that is what will happen. And it is guiding your lives. But if you don't have this information, it's like you have been blindfolded and thrown into life. When they take off the blindfold, still you cannot find your way back to where you were. And so that's why when Roy came to Ghana the first time to introduce him at the Star Hotel, I said, my life until I met him was like being blindfolded and taken to Sahara set and being released. I didn't know what to do. At the time, I needed water to drink. I found this person on a camel. He came, he not only gave me water, he gave me water and put me on his camel and took me home. And so I said that day that I owe Roy my life. Because the guru, if he shows you the way home, has given you more than any amount of money anyone can put in your hands. And so we must yearn to know God and yearn to know how to live. And that is why the Upanishads and Ayurveda and yoga teachings have flourished to teach us. Because the olden times, people yearned, and God came and revealed, God became their teacher and revealed to them. And later on, it was documented. And so there is documentation on how to reconnect with God and how to live. And I would want each and every one of you, look, sometimes I say, look, you got everything around. But if you go to the bookshop, the documentation is there. But I tell people that, look, I am the book. Because the one who wrote the book has taught me everything in the book and sent me to share with you. And so if you take the opportunity to know, fine, we will do it. If you don't want to know, I also don't know. And so let us stop having very, very expensive funerals to show. Look, when Roy passed, and I heard it, we were making arrangements to travel. And then I contacted my brother disciple, Ron Linden, and he said to me, oh, when Roy died, we did everything and cremated the body. And it is now that we are coming to have the funeral service. I said, so the body of Roy will not be there, then what's the use in traveling to America to see his body? When my professor in Ayurveda passed, the thing hit me. I told his son-in-law, Radike, that they should hold on for 2 days. And I will be in India to come and see his body for the last time. He said, Sam, don't waste your time. Tomorrow we are cremating his body. He said, now you are thinking that you have lost him because you want to see his body for the last time. Tomorrow after we cremate him, we will also be in the same situation as you. So don't bother. He has written down some things on paper. When you come, we will let you know what he left for you. When I went to India the next time, the doctor told me he left 50,000 rupees for me, and he left some clothing that he has not worn. It's brand new clothing that he has not worn. He said when I come, I should take them. What I do not want to take, I should give away. And so I picked one or two and some scarf, and I gave the rest that she can donate it to someone, because look, for you CSA women, if you don't know, the wigs that you wear, the human hair ones, some of them from India are, hair from women are musu. They are removing, their bad luck. And then you go, they wash them and do this thing, and you go and you buy them. They donated the hair, and you are going to buy them. Do you know what the person was carrying? And so, stay away from these wigs. Look, I don't know, African women, do you know how beautiful your hair is? And who told you that we, the men, we love that hair? I bet you, if you like, interview the first 10 men you see, and they will tell you what they feel about your hair, the wigs that you wear. And so stay away from these things and let us live a natural life to honor the Lord who has become our lives, and live a well-meaning life. Namaste.